All right, all you cats and kittens, looks like I am live on a glorious Sunday morning in Las Vegas, Nevada, with my chat not necessarily working, but kind of working. So I'm going to do my best to keep my eye on. I got my laptop sitting over here. Oh, shh. Why did I touch something? In case anybody shows up in the chat and wants to say anything, I think I'll be able to see it. I don't think I'm going to have a problem. So, how's things going today? I hope it's a good day. If not, I hope things get better real soon. Got a few things to go over today. I'm going to do a little bagging and boarding while we chat. We got some. I got a few comics in the stack that I managed to finish over the last week or so, and a couple little sort of news items to talk about, and then actually a whole bunch of new releases that I was actually surprised. Kind of the way I do a lot of this prep. Honestly, a lot of it's through Twitter, just following various people. Well, that's awesome. Yeah, I managed to get a hair in there somewhere. But I follow a lot of stuff on Twitter. I see things, I bookmark them. Saturday, I go through and look. I had this feeling this week, like, it's kind of light. I don't think there's much to talk about. And then when I started looking through the bookmarks, I was kind of amazed at how much stuff I did have. So anywho, we'll talk about a little news, talk about some new releases, some new campaigns, etc. And a couple reviews. I got a couple comics I can review that I actually just finished up before the stream, and some obscure movies. I mean, these are movies mostly I never heard of before I saw them. So I mean, when I say obscure, I mean they're kind of obscure. So let's jump into it. Oh, yeah, that's right. I have the slideshow open because the first couple news stories I don't have any images for. So a couple things I saw. I think it was via Bounding Into Comics. These, I don't know. We're just at this point where you're going, who is in charge? Who's doing this stuff? So apparently, David Goyer, who was a writer on the original Blade trilogy, now offered his services to Marvel for help on writing their new Blade movie, which I'm sure they expected to be a trilogy. Probably shouldn't have expected much. And they said no. Okay, now look. Well, first of all, true confession here. I've never watched one of the Blade movies. It was just one of those things. It popped up at a time when I think we had a little kid in the house, and it didn't happen. I need to catch up on them, though. I am fully aware that they were very cool movies, that Wesley Snipes was awesome. Okay. And I got it from a nerd standpoint. I got to admit, I feel bad here because I have not watched Wesley Snipes' Blade. I have seen Wesley Snipes in Tu Wong Fu, Thanks for Everything, Julie Newmar. All right. True confession over. But so I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, well, look, you're a writer working in Hollywood. You got to hustle. You're probably offering your services on a whole lot of things. They got the writers they want to use. They're not interested. Fair enough. I don't see anything necessarily wrong with that. However, how many years did they have this in development? How many scripts did they go through? How many clear problems did they have? I think at some point, if you're serious about this thing, you got to bring this dude in. I mean, you'd have to, just to see, just to help. Because it's not working. The whole thing's not working. But they don't. And if I had to guess why, Coca-Cola, by the way, not coffee. There's coffee waiting. Don't worry about that. But if I had to guess why, it was because, well, this dude is probably going to be presenting to you just a Blade movie where he goes after vampires. This dude's probably not going to give you what you really want, which is probably, we want to push some kind of an agenda with this thing. Like, this dude's just going to give us a mainstream movie that people might enjoy. I mean, if I had to guess, that would be my guess of what they're trying to do there. I don't know, man. It's crazy. It's crazy. Anyways, but on good news though, the live action Akira film that Taika Waititi was working on is dead. Warner Brothers has handed the rights back over to the original manga publisher. Based upon his work on Thor, I have a deep and abiding dislike for Taika Waititi. Maybe not personally, although maybe a little bit, because he seems to take a personal interest in ruining things for people. And he seems to be very arrogant, but creatively, I can't think of a better piece of news for fans of Akira than the fact that this guy ain't going to be touching the thing that you love. Little Legion of Superheroes, some big time space combat in this one. Pretty good stuff. Was that one Ordway? No, Dan Jurgens. Yeah. Really good art. Really good art, by the way. Yeah, so the Akira thing is apparently dead. And I can't say I would be sorry to hear that. Now, and actually, true confession, I've never watched Akira either. I've watched a lot of anime. I've never watched Akira. I'm sorry. Watch Bubblegum Crisis. It's the same thing, right? Come on. Bunch of people running around, dystopia, violence, etc. Big eyes. Okay. So this is something that came up on Twitter this week that made me think a little bit. Now, Yodano is a guy obsessed with Dragonlance, and I mean that in a really good way. Good dude. I follow him on X. He's not a friend of mine or anything like that. I just follow him, but seems like honestly just a really good dude. Loves, old school D&D and, like I said, Dragonlance, etc. But he put this up. Yes, I understand this opinion is no longer practical, but I would prefer this over CGI any day, talking about, just the practical effects. And here, in this case, Clash of the Titans. Now, the first time I saw it, what popped in my head was, well, I mean, wouldn't it be practical? There are people. Hey, Fins. My wife just slipped me a note under the door because I wasn't looking over at my laptop. Okay, where's your mix? Yeah, no, I mean, the thing is, it's OBS is the problem. The stream itself is fine. It was just, I just need to keep looking over at my laptop, which I wasn't doing because I was deep in my true confessions. Okay. Anyway, my first thought was practical. Would it be practical to do practical effects anymore? But then I realized, he's probably saying his opinion is not practical anymore because the studios are CGI, period, etc. But I wonder if there isn't room for independent films that have a decent budget to really focus more on practical, because I think the whole thing about CGI was, I think it hit in two different ways. When we looked at like Jurassic Park, it was like, you can't do something like this with practical effects. You just can't. And I would agree with that. Jurassic Park, man, that looked really good. Twister was another early one where you're just going, wow, this is really awesome. But I think there was also an idea of we could save a lot of money with CGI, but I don't know that that's true. The CGI spectaculars nowadays honestly seem to cost a fair amount of money. And I don't know how realistic CGI even is at this point because of the way it's handled, probably over applied. I don't think it was I don't think green screening everything for the Star Wars prequels really was that great of an idea. I think it hurt them, honestly. But I'm starting to wonder, how practical is it to start getting into practical effects in certain places? And is this something that really talented indies can do? Or maybe they just need to reassess where they are in CGI. Maybe that would actually be the best of both worlds. If you're using practical where you can use practical, then stressing out your CGI people, and they have more time to make what they're doing look better and really serve the story, as opposed to turning every movie into a Roadrunner Coyote cartoon, where it's just so over the top and outrageous that it kind of defeats its own purpose with how realistic you can make things look. Just a thought. Yeah, and the cost, well, so the cost of model building is higher than using the CPU graphics, but the budgets on these things are friggin' enormous. I think arguably the budget for like some of the sequel movies for Star Wars, because I did this, and I think it had a higher budget, quite a bit higher than Return of the Jedi, which, like, if you, again, just for inflation, made, I think, double the money or more than double the money than some of those. So that's why I'm wondering, it's like, is it? CGI is not as cheap as it once was, or maybe they're just so damn, I mean, maybe CGI might not be why the budgets are so high. I think there's a lot of creative accounting going on too, but I don't know if it's as affordable as initially they thought it was going to be as things have matured. So I don't know. AI is going to be the next thing that's going to make everything really cheap. Yeah, see, 2002 to 10 CGI improved a lot, Fins, and I think it did. It was getting really darn good. And then it seems like it's gone backwards. By the way, I think you could say that about a lot of things on computers. I've been saying for a while now that, like, I'm so old, I can remember when the new Windows update was actually better than the Windows you had before. Like, you go, oh, wow, you can do this now. This is really nice. I like this. And now it seems like every single release is worse than the one that came before. It's slower. I think a lot of that's because of all the spyware. That, I mean, essentially, we used to worry about spyware and hackers and stuff. Silicon Valley just became the hackers, more or less, stealing everybody's data and all this other nonsense. Doesn't seem like they actually use it for anything of any value. My wife and I were just having this talk earlier about YouTube, because YouTube, we watch it on our TV a lot via Roku, and they stop you whenever you're on. Do you want to sign in? No, I don't really want to sign in. You start a video. Are you sure you don't want to sign in? And I'm going, like, I'm signed in a lot when I'm doing things, like when I'm watching videos at work and all that. I never see advertisements that are even remotely interesting to me. Even remotely interesting to me. In fact, a lot of times, some ads I'll actually go back in so I don't have to look at the ad. I'm at a point now where if all this data you were collecting actually gave me advertisements that were interesting to me, I think I'd be happy that you were gathering all that data. I don't know what you're doing with all this crap. Are you just that bad at your jobs, or is it just that nobody interesting wants to advertise on you? I don't know. Yeah, exactly. Back when Office wasn't a subscription, that was a huge part of it. Ugh. Don't get me started. There was a time where I actually had a little bit of respect for Microsoft, at least in terms of the Office suite. I use it a lot for my work, and it was very useful. It still to some degree is, but now every time there's an update, I've got to go in and hunt for a way to turn off all the great stuff they've added that is in my way and making me less efficient. It's crazy. Here's something. Now, God, do I need to do another True Confessions? I've never read Rogue Troopers. I don't know, but I am aware of Rogue Troopers from ads that I would see. And this popped up, and I'm like, dude, that actually looks pretty good. I'd love to hear from people who are big fans of Rogue Troopers. Let's see. I never use YouTube on Roku because of it. Well, we don't. I mean, we get ads. You know, I mute the TV and then I skip as soon as I could skip. But a lot of stuff I watch on YouTube is like old movies and stuff like that, which just looks better on a bigger screen. Old TV shows, things like that. So yeah, I just kind of mute when I can, then I skip around. But at any rate, I thought that looked pretty good. Now this is not the ad I remember seeing. I swear there was an ad for Rogue Troopers in Dragon Magazine. And this might be a fake memory. I don't know. I don't know if they did a role-playing game at some point. I swear it. But, I mean, you could see, look at that. Look at that. But then you go, okay, well, I mean, that's one battle. It kind of looks like the comic. Is it going to be anything like the comic? That I couldn't tell you. But I did see that. I thought people might be interested in that. And then I saw this. This is a news story I saw via Toy Arc. At Toy Arc on Twitter, if you're interested. San Diego Comic-Con 2025 exclusives from The Loyal Subjects. I have bid a fond farewell to exclusives in my life. I just want stuff I could buy without all the rigmarole, but people might want to check some of this stuff out. But it does look like it's pretty heavy on girl toy type stuff, which, hey, you know, girls deserve to have things too, I guess, a little. So a Jim and Synergy 2-pack, which I have to admit, though, when I looked at that, I was like, that does look like the character with that hat and the hair. I'm like, I kind of remember Jim, the cartoon. And I watched some of that with my daughter, and I think she would be totally into this. So there's that. There's a 14-inch plush My Pet Monster, lots of Strawberry Shortcake, Rainbow Bright, My Buddy. The only thing it looked like they were doing exclusive for Mask is in an 80s retro pin pack. So if you're into, you know, pins, might be something there good. Yeah, I don't have too many fake memories, but every once in a while, actually, it seems so. Yeah, I know the ads are just any. But I will say this. Okay, obviously, a lot of girl toys, and we know girl toys are pretty lame. But did you know? There is a live-action Jim fan film on YouTube that features prominently the Baroness from G.I. Joe. I've actually watched this, and it wasn't terrible. It wasn't great, but I was like, the Baroness, that's awesome. So if you want a great, pretty comic accurate or cartoon accurate Baroness, she didn't do the accent though, and I was bummed about that, but go look for the Jim fan film. I think it might be called Truly Outrageous. I don't remember now. At any rate, okay. I need to do more bagging and boarding to go along with all this blabbering. Get rid of that old bag. So I got a lot of stuff, new release-wise, this week. And a lot of it's kind of golden age in character. So let's start with this. This is the Rocketeer Volume 1. Now, this is reprints of the IDW Rocketeer Adventures stories by such comic luminaries as Michael Allred, John Cassaday, Darwin Cook, and Roger Langridge. $14 paperback. It's available for pre-order. Okay, the thing said available for pre-order February 2026. And you can pre-order from like Barnes & Noble, Target, Walmart, a few other places. And I wasn't sure if what they meant was it's available for pre-order now. It's delivering February 2026. That would make more sense to me. But, you might want to go take a look, see if you can find it, and you might be able to pre-order it now. Maybe you have to wait. A little more Legion of Superheroes there. Prophecy of Doom. That might be Giffen. Yeah. Giffen and Malstead on the cover. So we got a little Rocketeer there. It's funny. I'm trying to keep track of the chat, but I'm also seeing my movement, which lags. So sometimes I think I've seen the chat move, and really it's me moving. I love technology. Facsimile of Batman #1 coming out in September, and this is in the original comic dimensions, so it's going to be more like one of these. Or wait a minute, no, this might not have. Was this the big size? Harmony. Well, they've done an Action Comics number 1 and a Detective 27 original dimensions. So they're doing that with Batman #1, which is pretty rad. $10, $13 for the foil variant. And I think they said there's a blank sketch cover for $11. Okay, I guess, but nobody who worked on this stuff is going to be alive to sketch on it for you. I'm not sure why you'd want that, but looking forward to that. Love the Golden Age Batman stuff. There's also a sequel coming out soon of Dan Jurgens and Mike Perkins' Batman First Night. Now, I'll be honest, I know nothing about this comic. It looks kind of cool, but then I did read the fateful term modern sophistication in the description, and I gently wept a little bit on the inside. Because a lot of times it's like, oh, are we doing this fake modern audience crap? So I don't know, but it does look pretty cool. So this one is going to be called Batman Second Night. The first one's set in 39. I guess he's fighting like undead in Gotham City, which is not that different from what they were publishing. Go find my video on Batman Year One, which is not about a later comic series, but about the actual first year of publication of Batman. And he's fighting like dirigibles and vampires and werewolves and all sorts of cool stuff. So this one is set in 1940. It is about a serial killer whose sort of way of doing things is a hangman's noose. $7 for 48 pages, also coming out in September, which might be why the facsimile's coming out. That hangman's noose thing, I'm like going, that might be inspired by an actual story. I started reading Batman from its first story. I'm now up to 1964. So I've done 25 years of Batman stories. And I'm actually at the point now where I'm forgetting stuff that I've already read, even though I started the project maybe a couple years ago. But it's a lot of Batman to read. But that hangman's noose rings a bell. So there might be some inspiration there. But I thought art looks pretty cool. Might be a good one to look for. Jurgens does good work. That's for darn sure. Keeping up the Golden Age stuff. This is kind of cool. We got a couple more chats here. What do we got here? I just saw IDW or maybe Dynamite just blacklisted Diamond distributors. I am very curious and concerned about how the whole Diamond collapse is going to affect orders from anybody but the big two. I don't know. I haven't seen any major disruptions. The two local comic shops I go to, one of them especially, has a lot of indie stuff. I won't necessarily say indie, but it does. But a lot of the non-big two stuff there seems like new releases still happening. I got to think somebody's going to step in where there's an opportunity to step in. Or, I don't know, we'll buy out Diamond and restructure it or something like that. Business tends to find a way, one way or the other. There's demand, there's supply. They just need the middleman in it, and I think they'll find it. It could disrupt things, but probably not for super long. I mean, dude, a lot of folks, just indie guys on their own, are getting things shipped, right? So if we're talking, and these are guys who have to get the box from the printer. They got to crack it open. They got to do all this stuff, put things in, and then mail it to individuals. I got to think it can't be the most difficult thing in the world to pop open a box, move a bunch of stuff to a new box based on an order total, and shoot that out to a comic book shop. Somebody's got to be able to do that and make a profit on it, even if it's a slim profit. I would think it's going to get dealt with. Oh yeah, the Monster Mags thing might even be an issue with just lack of demand. Like, it's a little more niche of a product, and some stores really focus on niche and some don't. Like that one LCS I was talking about has a lot of niche stuff in it. It's kind of where they live. The other one I go to is a little bit more mainstream. And they got some stuff, but maybe not quite as nichey. So there might be an issue with that too. Sometimes, you hate to have to do the shipping, but sometimes you just got to go direct to the source for this stuff. I mean, I've lived a lot of my life liking weird crap that most people don't like. You got to go the extra mile on stuff sometimes, but, and I am checking out that magazine you were talking about on Twitter, Fins, because it looked pretty. As soon as I saw that, I'm like, oh, I got to look this up real quick. So it was long before I even saw that DM you sent me. I was like, I got to look for this. Munster's Addams Family? Okay. Let's look at this thing real quick. This is the Phantom comic number 2000 from Frew Publications. They've been publishing in Sydney, Australia, Phantom comics since 1948 continuously. So when they say this is issue 2000, that's not like some kind of a clever little ruse. It's issue 2000. You can get it. I'm throwing away this bag, but I'm keeping that board because that's a damn fine looking board, if I do say so. So you can get it from their website. I went and looked. It's $24, and I gotta think that's Australian dollars, just based on the whole they're an Australian company thing. But it did just have the dollar sign. It didn't specify AU or anything. But again, they're sort of, they live and breathe in Australia, so I guess that makes sense that they wouldn't maybe need to specify for an Australian, customer base. But $24, 228 page special. So not a bad price when you consider the size of that. You go to www.phantomcomic.com.au, and they also have way back when they published a book called, all right, no immature laughter now, Super Yank. Yank isn't a Yankee, isn't Americans. Come on. It would be kind of funny though. Anyways, so they got stuff like for that comic. They had a bunch on their site, and it's something I didn't have time when I was first doing this, but maybe worth looking into. But Phantom number 2000, I mean, that's pretty darn cool. Something you might want to look for. We also got, that's pretty good. I don't need to rebag this one. Iron Fist. This is John Byrne. There is a really cool image in this one. I'm going to take a second. Dude. Oh, there we go. Check that out, man. Boom! Taking out this martial arts gang member in the subway. And then there's also kind of a cool one. Yeah, this is another nice one. This is, you're seeing him take out these various gang members as he fluidly backflips and kicks everybody in the face. I got this out of a 50-cent bin, by the way. And then this last one, and you're not going to be able to probably read it, but it's that long column right there. That's the police having shown up, and you do get Peter Parker and MJ in there. They were out on a date, and Parker had to stop and take photos for J. Jonah for his job. Hey, MJ, if you want Peter taking you out, gotta let the guy work. Yeah, okay, so Vince is already talking about this before I am. From McFarlane Toys, Golden Age Wonder Woman, based upon Wonder Woman #1. Pre-order in July, 7 inches tall. And it will include a reprint of Wonder Woman #1 as well. Kind of cool. I might go for this one, but if I'm completely honest, what I would really like is one of these in the Superpowers collection, because I started kind of grabbing a Justice Society of America stuff. I don't know if you look right behind my head there, you see some JSA characters, Fleischer Superman, and the Phantom's also sitting back there, along with Popeye, because they're from the 30s and 40s too. But anyway, yeah, it's pretty cool. But I'm hoping, like, if they have the license, so to speak, for that, maybe they'll do the Superpowers collection as well. I know it's not in the next wave. Next wave, what was it? It was Animal Man. God, why is Animal Man the only one I remember? I think it was the only one that had a JLI connection. At any rate, I know it's not in the new wave, but maybe pretty soon they'll put that out. That would be pretty cool. All right, moving on from Golden Age. Let's delve into the 50s and 60s a little bit. Mark Christensen is an artist who works in classic Hanna-Barbera style. I'm pretty sure I followed this guy's blog like 20 years ago when blogs were the thing, right? My blog is actually still alive, although I haven't posted in a while. A lot of old role-playing game stuff on there, though, if you're interested in that. I found him on Twitter recently, or X, whatever we're calling it. And dude, this kind of stuff makes me happy. I grew up on Hanna-Barbera when I was a kid. That was like some of my earliest memories of cartoons, along with Popeye and some Looney Tunes. But so this is a coloring book he's got out, the Dalton Dog Cartoon Show. Now, this is obviously a character of his own. Resembles Huckleberry Hound a little bit, but it's in that style. And I just thought that's really cool. It reminded me of coloring books that I had when I was a kid. I want to say it was like $8 or $9 on Amazon. $9 on Amazon. But also, dude, if you go to his Twitter account, you hit on the link tree in his bio. He's got a TeePublic site. Dude, some rad t-shirts. If you like that Hanna-Barbera kind of style, or just that retro style, really, really cool stuff. I was going through, I sent it to my wife. I'm like, dude, I found another one. There's probably like 10 or 12 of those shirts that I would love to have, which God knows I don't need them. But if you're into that, and some of the stuff that I liked was, like, he had some Disney stuff, but if it was done like in a Hanna-Barbera style in the 60s, I just thought that was kind of cool. So Mark Christensen, you might want to look for him. Kind of neat stuff. If you got some kids or in your life, the kids of a friend or your own kids or grandkids or nephews, nieces, whatever, maybe get that coloring book, dude. That might be kind of fun. This is, dude, I don't know what's going on with this, but I had to put it up here. So Tom Scioli, or is it Scioli? Maybe Tom Scioli. He's got a new book coming out from IDW in July. Now it is Godzilla's Monsterpiece Theater. The description: Godzilla takes on his greatest foes yet, Jay Gatsby, Sherlock Holmes, and the Time Machinist. In this graphic novel mashup, collects issues 1 through 3 of Godzilla Monsterpiece Theater. Now, I know the guy. He's done some bios of like Jack Kirby and Stan Lee, but I knew him from his YouTube channel where he would do sort of flip throughs on, he did like Jack Kirby's New Gods. That was like called New Gods Sunday School, I think. It was on Sundays. And then on Thursdays, he did a thing with Thor, looking at Jack Kirby's Thor run. But at any rate, but he also makes comic books. It's just weird enough that I had to look at it. Godzilla is everywhere right now, Finns. You are not wrong. Mattel has the license next. Oh, McFarlane DC is wrapping up. Oh, that's maybe too bad. I did like some of the stuff they did. I don't know. Maybe Mattel will be okay. Oh, how did Action get the accolades when they hit 1,000 to be the first? Phantom was robbed. Yeah, and they did do a Phantom number 1,000. I think the reason is it's an Australian company that, for the most part, none of us have heard of. So, under the radar, right? But yeah, Phantom did get robbed. Phantom often gets robbed. That's just part of life of being the Ghost Who Walks, I guess. This is kind of cool. We're getting a 4K special edition of Ralph Bakshi's Lord of the Rings, which I will admit I love, and it has a special place in my heart. So my story with Lord of the Rings is kind of backwards. My first introduction to Tolkien's Lord of the Rings was The Two Towers. We're on vacation visiting grandparents, and my aunt, who is only 16 years older than me, I believe, 16 or 18, I think 16. She, they still like had stuff from when she lived with them there, when she was going to college, I think. And one of those things was The Two Towers. And I had just gotten into Dungeons and Dragons. So I'm looking at like this bookshelf and like Two Towers. I take it down, and it's kind of obviously fantasy looking. Dude, I could show you the cover, but I won't. At any rate, tough series to start off with in the middle, especially when like the first scenes involve Smeagol and Golem talking to each other, and you don't know that it's the same creature right away. But I was still hooked. And I can even remember, I knew nothing about Tolkien. I didn't know he existed. I remember going, dude, this is like D&D. It's like somebody wrote a D&D book. So, very backwards. Any rate, I had read Two Towers, and I was really hooked on it. I didn't have, I don't know if I showed that. Giant Size X-Men. That's a facsimile edition. Otherwise, I'd have a really, really clean looking original. So I didn't know much about it, and I didn't have access to the Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship of the Ring. So the first time I actually saw the beginning of that story filled in was this movie. I can still remember some neighbors we had. Yeah, the Rankin Bass one was, I enjoy that one too. The Hobbit one especially. But this was before my family had a VCR even. And neighbors we had across the street who we're very close with, they went on vacation, and they're like, could you guys look after the house? And yeah, hey, feel free to use the VCR and stuff. So I remember we got to go rent movies, and it was really cool. And I can remember going over there, and this is like, summer vacation time, so I didn't have school or anything. I can remember going over there just on my own, cracking open a pop, putting this in and watching it, and just being amazed. So really cool. It's getting a special collection. Now here's the thing though. So it's remastered on Blu-ray, and there is an interview with Ralph Bakshi on it. Now, supposedly you can find it on Amazon for $23. I went there, and all I could find was a deluxe edition from 2024 for $29. So it might not be available yet. The one thing I looked at said it was. It's possible it's not available yet, but if you are a fan, you might want to look for it. I guess the news article called it controversial. It didn't do well. It didn't do particularly well in the movie. I mean, I think 30 million back in the day. So it'd probably be more like in the 70, $80 million range nowadays. So not great, but I I know some people don't like it. I think it's pretty cool. Again, you gotta, some of this stuff you gotta take on its own merits. They did what they could do. You know, and Bakshi was a really innovative cartoon maker. So there was some innovative stuff in it, but I still dig it. I like, you know, a lot of the voice work and stuff. Oh, matter of fact, Legolas is Anthony Daniels. So a little Star Wars connection there. But yeah, so that's coming out Blu-ray, remastered. Something to look for. Also saw this, again, I saw it on X. So coming out this month from Dynamite, the second volume collecting the original Vampirella run. Vampirella Archives Volume 2 collects issues 8 to 14, so I'm assuming Volume 1 collects 1 to 7. San Julian cover. If you're into classic Vampirella, it had some really awesome art. I've only read a little bit of it, but you might want to check out that and go see if you can find the back issue as well. Here's an old flash. The Creeper, he's back. Yeah, he was the backup story at the time. Not bad. Not bad. It's cool that Infantino is still working on that stuff into the 80s. Did some amazing stuff there. Also saw this. Walmart, and I don't know if this is every Walmart, but some of the Walmarts apparently have their DVDs, Blu-rays, and 4Ks in these retro slip covers. Kind of looks like an old TV. You see Jaws, you see Back to the Future there. Blazing Saddles is up there as well. Might want to look for it. HighDefDiscNews.com has a lot of stuff like this on Twitter. So if you're really into the high def stuff, you might want to follow him or her. I think it's him, but I'm not sure. Lots of news stories on stuff that's coming out. But I thought that was kind of cool looking. And we just recently, what was it? It was on Thursday. Thursday, our internet went out. Came back just in time for me to edit that video that I put out on Friday, which I was like going, it's kind of long. Hope this works. But it reminds you when all that stuff's gone of just how great physical media is. So I threw on episode of Batman 66. I've been rewatching all those. I have it on DVD, obviously. This is a crazy one. Bad guy, who was it? God, which bad guy was it now? The Top. Yeah, obviously. The Top, his disembodied spirit takes over Flash's dad and does bad stuff, and even he threatens even to kill him. And you get this sequence of Flash having to stop the bullet from connecting, even though the gun is like maybe no more than an inch away from his head. Is he successful? You'll have to read the comic and find out. But that's a pretty good one. So yeah, so kind of cool. Physical media. I mean, you run out of room, but when I think about it, if the internet went away tomorrow, well, number one, I'd have a lot more time on my hands because I wouldn't be making these videos. Number two, I don't know how my actual job would work. That could be a little tricky, but I got a whole lot of physical media that I can enjoy. I could probably, if I had to, live on what I got for most of the rest of my life. Maybe all of it. I don't know. So, don't neglect the physical media. I didn't really dig this story that much. I thought they were trying too hard. This is after the point where, Ostrander's taken over and they do the thing where there's like a third, or maybe the professor's gone and now it's Ronnie Raymond and like the Russian guy, but Firestorm has like his own psyche. I gotta be honest with you, I did not really care for them. And this issue in particular, boy, they were trying really, really hard to tell a very progressive story. And it's just, they tried a little too hard. Yeah, it was, I hate to say it, it's maybe one of the dumbest stories I've ever actually read. The sentiment was fine, but it's like the story was misplaced, not only in space, probably the wrong place for it. Maybe not, but I did a little historical searching, and maybe the wrong place for it. Certainly probably about 20 years, maybe 30 years too late, maybe 40 years too late to be realistic. And the way the thing escalates just was honestly kind of dumb. It was, yeah. So I don't know. I want to collect the original Firestorm stuff for sure, and I might get rid of some of that stuff after that. Volume 1 already out of print. That's on that Vampirella. Ugh, boy. Softcover's out of print. Hardcover available still. Well, you better get cracking if you want it, or enjoy paying probably a lot more money on eBay or some other type of auction site. Or wait about 30 years and then start haunting garage sales in areas that look like people would really dig Vampirella. It's not a great strategy. Okay, this is a couple new things that I found that I thought were interesting. This is a new campaign on Kickstarter. It's called Romanus Magicae, or Magicae, if we're trying to pronounce it in Latin. This is like a cover for number 4. From Matthew Blair and Paul Pert-Smith. The description is, this is it. No more intrigue, no more plots, no more delays. 2 sides, 1 battle, 1 victor to decide the fate of Rome. So it looks like we're talking ancient Rome with magic, with sorcery. Thought it looked kind of cool. I thought the interior art looked pretty good. You can get, by the way, this is the first one where you have the sort of new Firestorm. You can get issues 1 through 3 on that Kickstarter. So if you are interested in the concept of ancient Roman sorcery, you can fill in those earlier issues. So you don't need any tissues for your issues. I think I showed this off on the last. Yeah, I did. This is the one that had the mask essentially catalog in it. Because that was a 50-cent bin find. I was showing off those dudes. So Romanus Magicae number 4. Oh, there's 5 books in the series. Sorry, there's an issue 0. And you can get that. Okay, so $10 for issue 4. Shipping estimated in September. You can get physical copies of all 5 books in the series for $30. So 5 for $30, $6 a piece. Not too bad for something that's kind of indie, honestly. I've seen worse deals out there. So NECA has a new wave of Ben Cooper costume figures. A little more pop culture-y. It's not superhero. It's not so much monsters, although there is obviously a monster in there. Garfield. No, we got Pee Wee Herman, Alf, Garfield, and the Predator. So very cool. You get the figure with the costume on it. You get a trick-or-treat bag. You can buy the whole set for $80. So about $20 each, which is about what you pay for these things. So, not a bad deal in that regard. I would have to think they might sell them singly at some point, because obviously there's going to be, like a Pee Wee Herman collector doesn't necessarily want to buy the other 3 figures. They just want the Pee Wee figure. So they'll probably do that at some point if you wait a little bit. I don't know for sure if they will, but you might want to wait. Or if you've been collecting all the Ben Cooper stuff, which is very cool. It's a neat concept, and I got a lot of Mego type monster figures. And we bring them out. I got a couple NECA as well. We bring them out at Halloween time to like a little decoration. And honestly, these would be great to go with it, but it's for me, it's just become like it's a space issue. Like, I just don't have room. I really need to reorganize a lot of stuff in my den anyways, just to, better take advantage of the space that I do have. But yeah, all those little dudes I don't have room for. But I got to say, I really, really like them. I think they really look great. They've done a fantastic job. There we go. There's part one. So this is a 2-part thing. Whoops. Where am I going? Wrestler taking a designer drug. You could see designer drugs was the new thing on the news at the time. A designer drug to keep him going long enough to get through one more bout. And then his manager's like, who cares what happens to him? Which is probably not that unrealistic. And so it interacts weird with his body chemistry and he becomes a giant monster. Because in comic books, we can do a serious storyline about designer drugs, but we do need a giant monster in there somewhere to make it a comic book. Okay, one more new campaign launched this week. It's one I've been kind of looking at. It is The Lucent, Fractured Mind from Michael Bancroft and Rod Looper. Now, this is a prequel to Lucent's Walking Dream, which they already put out. And you could probably find that out there too. Estimated shipping in December, 36 pages for $25. That's a little bit steep, honestly. But here's the description. Ella Forsyth spends her nights fighting the nightmares in her mind, looking for something. What that is, she couldn't say, until one night she's visited by a stranger who shows her more than she ever bargained for. Yikes. But that's the image that I initially saw, and I thought, that looks really, really cool. So could be something you might want to look for. It looks like it's all about maybe dream walking and all that kind of groovy stuff. But there you go. The Lucent Fractured Mind. You can get that Kickstarter is active right now. I don't need to rebag that one. That's pretty good. Burnt little Walt Simonson Fantastic Four going into a time bubble. And the one that comes before it, I also probably don't need to rebag. There we go. We get a little Walt Simonson Thor in this one as well. Oh, I take that back. That's them going through. The other one, the other one, they come back from that adventure and find themselves on the wrong Earth. Oh, it does need to be taped. It's an Earth where Stalin is still alive and there's about to be a nuclear war between the U.S. and the Soviet Union, with a few jabs taken at Dan Quayle, because that was how it was back then. All right, let's see. Let's take that down for a minute. I got a couple quick reviews I can do. Heavy price. Yeah, it is. Let's see. I recall I had a Motu He-Man costume. Yeah, I did. I remember having the Ben Cooper type stuff. Definitely when I was little, and I did a video showing some of the Collegeville Ben Cooper that we still had. We found it cleaning out my dad's house. I remember an Underdog costume. That was like my favorite at the time. I remember a Batman costume for sure. There was a Bugs Bunny one, but that might have been my sister's. We had a few of those, but yeah, I remember later on mostly doing my own stuff. Just finished reading this one today, this morning. Pretty good stuff. You got Dr. Fate, which was a lot less magic and a lot more Superman. You got a Green Arrow, where you're kind of going, oh yeah, I'll be honest, this is a ripoff of Batman and Robin. It's just so connected to it. You do get some other stories, though. This is Radio Squad. So it's two police officers in a radio patrol car who are going after some crooks who are trying to shut down a rodeo for nefarious ends. You got Johnny Quick, who was a speedster. And what was Johnny Quick doing? Oh, yeah, dude in a Black Knight outfit wreaking havoc in the city. There is, and you got this a lot back then, there is a text story, Who Did It? By Wilton Weston. Might not have, oh, yeah, I did want to show this, though. You see that? Choose your prize. Look at what's the big prize right in the middle here. If I Red Ryder Carbine. We all know what prize Ralphie would have been taking. There's actually, it's pretty cool, though. You got Jim Prentice's famous electric football game, your choice of genuine Eastman cameras, Bullet or Brownie, a very nice wristwatch, fitted overnight case, a compact handbag with comb, brush, and mirror set, live canary, electric movie outfit, sell one order, show movies at home, film free. I don't think they're giving you film free. Well, not forever. Gene Autry two-gun holster set. You can be a two-gun cowboy with this fine set. Gene Autry friendship ring. Free. I got to look for that on eBay now. And then super value prizes. There's a Gene Autry guitar. Boys, girls get a streamlined bike. Electric Army supply train and military watch. No, now that's funny. Okay. I don't normally like to try to move around when I'm doing these things. Can I get back there? No, I can't. Yeah, you could just see it beyond Lord Death Dude from the old Japanese bat manga. But I do have my grandfather's army watch, and that kind of looked like the same case. Anyhow, I thought that was really good. It's pretty good prizes. You get this dude, was it Clip Carson, fighting some Nazis down in South America, specifically in Honduras. There's like a revolution that will put somebody friendly to them in charge. We got the Spectre story, pretty cool, a little wacky. And they're very excited about the next issue is going to introduce Percival Pop the Super Cop. That's me. But I gotta say, Aquaman, and this might be his first appearance, I'm not positive. I think the best art in the magazine was in the Aquaman story. Some really nice stuff in there. He's going after a Nazi submarine, but you do get his origin, which I guess I was not completely aware of, but his origin is his dad is a deep sea diver, and he finds what he believes is Atlantis. And so he makes one of the palaces airtight so he can live down there. And he's reading all of this material the Atlanteans have, their super science. So he just raises his son to live underwater and uses some of their super science to give him his abilities as Aquaman. Now, they probably retconned that at some point. But yeah, really, I thought the art was really pretty solid in this one. I like this one image here of him punching the dude. Thought that was very cool. I like Aquaman. I know there's a lot of people who hate Aquaman. And I just feel bad for you. And then I got this delivered yesterday. Archie's pal Jughead, Monster Award, Jughead Jones. It's a facsimile. And I actually got it on the Archie site. $3.99, free shipping. So I thought, well, yeah, rather than wait and try to find it pre-order somewhere, why not do that? Fun. I read it this morning. We have Jughead saving a football game, doing a what's Paul Revere bit. The monster tie-in is really just Archie and Jughead watching a monster movie and Jughead pretending he's not scared. I did like that image with the cross-hatching. Nice. We get Jughead going into high school wrestling, but what caught me about this one was, like, Riverdale's version of high school wrestling is basically pro wrestling. Old Jughead wins. We get him having a nightmare after he ate too many hamburgers. I've been there. I understand that. And then we got Little Jinx. We got some tips on taking care of your hair. And we get Jughead, Lazy Jughead dreaming. But I really like that jet fighter that they drew there. Yeah. Anyways, you know what? It's fun. It's Archie. Sometimes you just need to chill out. Read an Archie comic. You know, not everything needs to be hardcore and upsetting. I'm finding that I really enjoy, like when I go, I'll sit on the patio every so often with the dog. The dog will be running around and I'll read something. And I'm finding that lately, like Archie type stuff, I've been reading some of the Peanuts books. Yeah, it's just kind of a way to decompress. Just, I don't know, something that's mildly amusing. All right. So that's what I have comic book wise. Now it's time to look at some freaking movies nobody's ever heard of. I have been like mega busy lately at work, and I really was not watching a lot of stuff. But this last week, things have sort of let up a little bit, and I was able to just put on some stuff kind of in the background and then, you know, take a look every so often. So Broadway Babies, 1929, it had Alice White in it, who was kind of like the hottie of the day for a little while. I thought, what the heck? I'll take a look. I think she might be the one who was in the original Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, which is from that era, and it's a lost film. It's gone now. I think she's the one who played Lorelei Lee, which is the role that Marilyn Monroe would play in the later version with Jane Russell. So I was like, okay, I haven't really seen much of Alice White movies. I've just heard of her. It was fine. Everybody's seen that already. I just put it in a bag. You know, it's a very 1929 sort of drama. Actresses who are trying to make it, and she's got a boyfriend, but then rich guys come along, and oh, are they nefarious? I don't know. Is she making a mistake? You know, getting involved with one of them. I did kind of like, though, that there's if there's a twist at all. Should I put spoilers up for this? It kind of turns out all right. And the one guy who looked like he might be trouble because he's kind of a gangster from Detroit actually turns out to be a pretty solid guy, who, you know, helps her out a little bit. And, she ends up going back to her boyfriend. So anyways, not bad, not great. Tennessee's Partner. This is a Western. Rhonda Fleming, Ronald Reagan, John Payne. I liked Fleming a lot in it. It's Technicolor, so you got the red hair going crazy. If you don't know, Rhonda Fleming was known for the fiery red hair, which I think might have been a dye job. I liked Reagan in it. He plays sort of this guy from Tennessee, and, you know, I'm sorry. He wasn't from Tennessee is the name of the gambler. Where was he from? I don't know, but he's like a, you know, kind of a cowpoke, kind of honest, etc. And then John Payne plays this gambler, Tennessee, who kind of hooks up with Reagan's character. They become friends. My only problem with it really is that John Payne just leaves me cold in most things. If you're not a classic movie fan, the only thing you might know him from, here's one of the facsimiles, is Miracle on 34th Street. He plays the lawyer that manages to sort of prove that the little old guy is Santa Claus, except maybe he was actually Santa Claus. And I like him in that. But almost everything else I've ever seen him in, it's just kind of flat. He just doesn't do anything for me. And that was kind of the problem with this movie. He just didn't do much for me. But it's not bad overall. As a film goes, it's decent. It really almost none of the movies this time around really grabbed me. Wicked as They Come. This is from 1957. Arlene Dahl and Phil Carey. I have reviewed a couple Phil Carey films. Great Power Hour in the Din. Oh, hey, dude. Ice Cream Vault. Dude, 140 flavors. All right, man. You have fun, dude. You have fun. You could tune in for the rest of this later if you care about really obscure movies. But thanks for stopping in the chat, Fins. I really appreciate it, man. You're awesome. So Wicked as They Come. Phil Carey, I've done a couple movies he was in. One of them is Screaming Mimi with Anita Ekberg, that I liked him in quite a bit. The other is Pushover, which is really a Fred MacMurray film. He's a side character, but I liked him in that a lot too. And of course, I knew him from my childhood because he was on a soap opera playing Asa Buchanan, one of the soaps my mom watched. Because that was a thing with Gen X, and you only had like maybe one TV in the house, is summer vacation time. When mom's soap operas were on, that's what was on. And if you didn't have anything else happening, you probably would sit out there and watch them. Any rate, he's pretty good in this one as well. It's about a woman who comes from a poor, I want to say Pennsylvania mining town, so probably right around Pittsburgh. It might even been Pittsburgh, who decides she's going to make it big in the world. And she starts using men to do it. And honestly, it's mostly men who are using her as well. So you can't blame her. But there's also something from her past. There's a little hair on this tape. And that just won't do. I think I got it. So, you know, as the title goes, yeah, she is kind of wicked as they come. She ends up getting into a lot of trouble. I mean, sort of, she accidentally kills a guy, basically. And she's going to go up. And the Phil Carey's character kind of steps in and helps. But it was pretty good. But again, I've seen sort of lascivious soap opera-y sort of things done better in old movies. This one, well, to its credit, is a little more serious in the way that it does things. It's not going for like, oh my God. But I kind of almost think it would have been better if it did, but yeah, she kind of sleeps her way to the top. It's one of those kind of things. El Diablo. I don't think I'm going to stick with this series. I didn't like it that much. I felt like it was just trying too damn hard to be socially relevant. So this I just finished up a couple nights ago. A Man Could Get Killed. James Garner flick. So the idea behind it is that he works for like a bank. He's gone to Portugal to do some kind of work for them. I think to oversee or check on some kind of a project that's going on. And he gets mistaken for a spy. And that brings him into all sorts of trouble and danger. It is primarily a comedy. And it's kind of funny. It wasn't, I don't know, I didn't feel like it really used Garner to, his fullest extent. But it wasn't bad. I kind of enjoyed it. It was a mild like. It was one thumb up, not two. But not bad. You might want to check it out. It was on YouTube, but there are sections of it where there's no sound, which I'm guessing is because there was music that was getting copyright struck. But it only impacts you a couple times, and it doesn't make the movie completely unwatchable or anything. But not terrible. All right, two more films. 1972 Doom Watch. Now, I didn't realize this at the time, but this is based on a TV series from the UK where Doom Watch is like an environmental group that goes around, exposing pollution and stuff. Basically live action Captain Planet, I guess. So again, a lot of very earnestness and speeches. You get the idea. Doom Patrol. This was actually a really good one. It's It's a Millennium one, right? No, Invasion. It's Invasion, and he teams up with Aquaman, Aqualad, and the Sea Devils. I liked it. That was a good one. So Doomwatch, they go to this island. This is a movie version. Go to this island to do some checking, and there's all sorts of mysterious stuff going on. And it has the bones to be kind of a horror movie. And you could see from the poster, well, it sure looks like they're promoting a horror movie. It's not really a horror movie. What's happening to these people, well, it's horrible, but yeah, there's a moment where it looks like it's going to be like, oh, we're getting, no, and it just kind of turns away. One thing that I noticed in it, though, I see this in a lot of British stuff from this period. There seemed to be a thinking among the Brits, and maybe it's still around today, that if you just raise your voice enough to people who you consider to be your inferiors, they will snap into place and do what they're told. Now, it never actually works, even in the movies, but you see it a lot. It's just, there's this kind of crucial scene with this guy, and it's like he's trying to make people on this island understand something that they're not going to like, and they have a general distrust. And it's like he goes about it in just the worst friggin' way. And even though he fails, it actually seems like the movie's attitude is, well, he failed because the people in this town are just really stupid and really don't know that they're supposed to be listening to their betters. Instead of just like taking the temperature down a little bit and genuinely helping these people. Any rate, Doomwatch from 1972, Ian Bannon, Judy Geeson, George Sanders has a little part in it. It wasn't bad, but it did feel like a long TV episode, and it had like almost no dramatic payoff for something that made itself look like it was going to be a horror movie. It failed on that spectacularly. Whoa. Comic books are starting to fall over. All right, last movie, and maybe the one I actually liked best out of this crop. Twilight People. Okay, so this is an Eddie Romero movie filmed in the Philippines. John Ashley, Pat Woodell, Ian. I'm sorry, is it Ian Merlin or Jan Merlin? Jan Merlin. Sorry, the font was bad. And Pam Grier in maybe her first screen appearance, but barely. She plays a Catwoman. Okay. So basically, it's inspired by The Island of Dr. Moreau, maybe shoves a couple other concepts in as well. I did a review of Beyond Atlantis you can find on my channel. That was going to be filmed the next year. Also, Eddie Romero and John Ashley. Twilight People is not like a great movie. And again, one of the problems is that John Ashley was kind of like John Payne, what I was saying earlier. He's just sort of has a monotone way of acting that he just doesn't have that charisma that really draws people in. And he is the lead in this one, and that definitely hurts it. It doesn't ruin it, though. It's not like, oh, this movie's terrible. I mean, it's a little terrible because it's a B horror movie. You know, it's terrible the way a B horror movie is supposed to be terrible, which is kind of a good thing. But there's some really fun scenes in it. The villain is actually pretty good. I enjoyed him. You don't really get to see a whole lot of Pam Grier. Like, they don't. Yeah, I wouldn't call it a Pam Grier movie. We had a lot of this at the video store I worked at, where an actor hits it big, and then every little movie that they ever did gets released or re-released, like TV movies, etc. And they'll make it seem like they're the star of the movie, which in fact they were actually on screen for like 1 minute. But now it's like Jim Carrey's big, so now this is a Jim Carrey movie, and you're kind of going, well, that's not a Jim Carrey movie. It's just not. They used to do a ton of that. Oop, I ran out of boards. I'll have to bag this dude later. Bag your face. So there are some fun scenes in it with this. Well, you know, it's animal people, right? Because it's Dr. Moreau. So there's this one bat that's flying around. It's actually a pretty good effect, and he's like attacking people. I kind of had fun with it. It's terrible, but I had fun with Twilight people. So I guess if I have any recommendation this time around, it is Twilight People, Eddie Romero flick from Philippines. Basically kind of a, we'll say inspired by the island of Dr. Moreau. Hey, honestly, probably genuinely better than the one that they did with Val Kilmer and Marlon Brando, because that had a lot of problems. I shouldn't say that. I've never actually watched it. The movie might have been very watchable once it got made, but oh, it was a production hell. Okay, I think that will do it for today. For this Sunday stream, we went over an hour. What the hell did I just hit? Okay. It scared the hell out of me for just a minute. Hope everybody has a good Sunday. Thanks everybody who watched. Oh, Pen, Dice, and Paper just showed up. Animal Desires, Human Lust, rated PG. Yeah, honestly, I had this thing, that movie. I guess I could bring it up again. The poster. I had this movie sitting in my queue on YouTube for I don't know how long, but a pretty long time. And because a lot of these things I'll sort of listen to while I'm working, I was like, Twilight People, 1972, Pam Grier's in it. I might not want to have this on my screen at all at work. But finally this week, I'm like, let me just throw it on. And if it looks like it's going to be really bad, I won't watch it or I won't listen to it. And it's actually, I kind of thought it was going to be worse than it really was, to be honest with you. It was, maybe if there's a really complaint to have about it, it was like, it's too tame for something about animal desires and human lust. But anyhow, I think that'll do it for today, boys and girls. Hope everybody has a really great Sunday. Hope you have a great week ahead of you. This week on tomorrow, we got a review of Justice League America and a little tiny mini review of Justice League Europe #1. Wednesday, I'm doing a review of the old movie serial, The Mysterious Dr. Satan. And on Friday, I'm doing a flip through review of Jack Kirby's Captain America's Bicentennial Battles for the 4th of July. Dude, outstanding art in this thing, and really an actually very interesting story that he wrote. A lot of Jack Kirbyisms. You might want to check that out, especially if you've never gotten a chance to look at it. So that's what's coming up this week in the Den. I will see you then live on next Sunday, probably, unless something wacky happens. But until then, God bless everybody. Please be kind to one another. Have a little bit of fun out there. Like I usually say, I hopefully will see you again soon in Dad's Den of Pop Culture. Bye-bye. Let me look at the chat one more time. Yep, looks like we're clear. Bye-bye, everybody.